Hi, good afternoon. I'm Allison Emrine, the Director of Operations for the Veterans Health Administration Innovators Network, and I am so excited to be here today to do some demos. So first up in our demo list, we have the wonderful Emily Hood demoing the intuitive eating, improving food relationships using mindfulness. Emily?
Thank you. My name is Emily Hood, and I'm a clinical dietitian with the Memphis VA Medical Center. I'm here because I would like to provide an overview of a new group piloted within the VA, an intuitive and mindful eating group. Since beginning my VA career as a dietitian, I have heard countless stories from veterans who are exhausted and disillusioned with diet programs, weight loss solutions, and the inevitable regain of weight loss after each dieting attempt. Veterans have told me, I'm just sick of dieting and I have no idea what to do. My dietitian colleague, Quinn Mason from Tennessee Valley, and I piloted an alternative group to the traditional weight management approaches. Our group is titled Intuitive Eating, Improving Food Relationships Using Mindfulness, and encourages participants to rediscover the joy of eating while simultaneously connecting with their inner wisdom of hunger, fullness, and satisfaction. They are taught mindful eating strategies, biological responses to deprivation, and the importance of making peace with all foods. I became trained as a mindful eating practitioner, and Quinn was trained in the principles of intuitive eating. Over the past year, we have successfully completed 3 cohorts, 1 in Tennessee Valley and 2 within the Memphis VA. These groups were blended face-to-face and virtual groups with an average of 3 to 8 veterans per group. Each group lasted for 16 weeks and classes met for an hour per week. Veterans were led through mindfulness meditations, gentle restorative yoga, mindful eating practices, and rediscovered the joy and pleasure of food and movement. Post-group participation results showed some improvements in clinical markers such as A1C and HDL cholesterol, as well as 100% satisfaction on post-group questionnaires from the veterans polled. I would like to share a couple of testimonials from the veterans who participated. One said, I've learned that my body doesn't want sugar 24/7. Another said, it's made a noticeable difference in my quality of life. I started out in the MOVE program and figured there was a better way than counting calories. This has been day and night for me, so much more positive about food and health. And finally, a veteran said, better for me that I have more internal conversations with myself about food. Miss Emily and the other veterans have become my family. It gives me great pleasure and strength. Since piloting the group, Quinn and I have been asked by dietitians from several VA systems to provide education on how to pilot their own intuitive and mindful eating group. Our group is also featured on the Faces of VHA blog, the Faces of Innovation, in April of this year. Quinn and I are so thankful to the Innovation Network and Memphis and Tennessee Valley leadership for all of the support and never-ending supply of resources to make this group a reality. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Emily. Always good to hear from you. So for those watching, don't forget to please ask some questions in the chat. We'll go through those questions. We have a few minutes after every demo to go over some questions. So while we wait for a few to come in, Emily, I have a question. So going through the Innovators Network, Spark Seed Spread Innovation Investment Program, what was your favorite aspect of your participation in the program?
My favorite aspect, honestly, was the energy that everyone had. There was a lot of passion that everybody had about their own projects, and it was a very supportive environment. A couple of times, folks with other projects reached out to me and offered encouragement and were excited about my project, and I was excited about theirs. And so it was really cool to kind of be carried along by everyone's passion for their work and for improving the veterans' lives. I really liked that.
I agree, it's my favorite part too. The energy is fantastic. So don't forget, questions in the chat. And last up, what's next? So you mentioned it a little bit in your demo, but what's next for you, just to wrap it up here in the last few seconds?
Well, Quinn and I are hoping to apply for a spread next year because we have had a lot of interest from other dietitians and VA systems about how to pilot the group. So we are hoping to go for that next year and just kind of keep the momentum going.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Emily. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Okay, next up from Palo Alto, out in California now, moving from one side of the country to the other. Maheen Adamson is here today to demo a 3D printed skull cap to improve neuronavigation accuracy during brain stimulation treatment. Maheen, when you are ready, we're ready.
Okay, so thank you for the introduction. My name is Maheen Adamson, and I've been working with traumatic brain injury veterans for 15 years. And I'm doing a lot of research on the kind of comorbidities that they have to do with psychiatric illness and depression and having problems with cognition. So what stimulation. It's non-invasive, and I use a magnet so that I can position the magnet on top of the head and provide treatment. That treatment requires that I find the exact location where I need to actually stimulate. So it's all about location, location, location. And every time the veteran comes in, I have to figure out again and again through MRIs. And it's just too much work. It's not accurate, and it doesn't really feed the system to be more available so that maybe we could advance it for, in-home technology. So I came up with what is called the cap. So we made this in a 3D printer. It doesn't fit very well on my head because it's actually made for my and one of the patients who was a pilot person. So we worked with Stanford Radiology Lab and their 3D printer and their program. This skull cap is actually based on our patient's MRI scan. We were able to create thickness for the amount of hair and the amount of spacing that we need, so that we can mark on the spot of this 3D cap that is precisely for the patient every time they come in, and they don't have to actually go through the measurement. It does make me look a little bit superhero, but it's fun because it's actually completely geared towards the patient. They can even take it home. They can even draw on it if they want, make it personal. And every time they come in, they just put it on, and we can which part of the head we were actually stimulating, and we can stimulate them throughout the entire treatment. Now, this 3D cap is very cheap to make. Money through the VA to do it. And what I would like to do is actually pilot it more and collect data, figure out that it actually to stimulate in the same manner energy that goes in, because it's biomaterial. It's the same amount of, it's only within a standard deviation, which is really low, and it doesn't change much. So we can actually start piloting this in the clinic. And we can actually do this with safety and less interaction, patient with the research assistant, and we can even some data that we can then put into our into an FDA regulated trial, and then maybe put it towards the hospital care for when this is done as a treatment for depression or anxiety.
Thank you, Maheen. And I don't think that I think you look great in that cap. Don't let that bother you. I think it looks great. So I know that some folks were having issues in the breakout rooms on Socio, and there was some tech issues here, so you might not have had time to put your questions in the chat. So I will ask a question, actually. So I know that they're having some background knowledge about what you're up to. I know that there was a lot of collaboration. You briefly touched upon it. Can you talk more about the collaboration between you in Palo Alto and Stanford?
Sure. I am blessed to be working not just with the wonderful people that are here. So they're in the IT department, the radiology department, the innovation center, we're the hub for that, Thomas Osborne, Viola. But because of our connection with Stanford, I'm in the Department of Neurosurgery, and the Dr. also in the Department of Radiology, we're able to have access to some of their high-end innovation stuff. So they were very in working with traumatic brain injury veterans. And they said, okay, let's use our program. We gave them the material. We worked with them with the software, and they were able to make this up MRI. measurement. It's an MRI, so it's very precise. So what's really cool about it is now we can actually work with students and mentors and have them trained in that program. And because of our iEX Center at the VA Palo Alto Rehabilitation Service, which is under Dr. Odette Harris, we have access to a 3D printer. We also have access with Dr. Thomas Osborne to the 3D printer. And we are collaborating with other VAs as well, like VA Reno. And we just have, I don't know, we just have a ton of support. What can I say? We're awesome.
You're very lucky, and that's what the network, the Innovators Network tries to do, right? Is bring everyone together. Community, as Ann Bailey mentioned earlier, is part of the joy of working with the ecosystem and our network. So I want to thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and
thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye, you're very welcome. So next up, we're going to stay in California, primarily, with Dr. Tom Osborne and David Ariola talking about 5G and AR, which is augmented reality. Gentlemen, when you are ready to begin, we are ready for you.
Perfect. Go ahead, David.
Yes, we're ready. Hello, everyone. I'd like to start off with answering one of the most common questions we are asked. Why 5G? It is the newest generation of wireless technology with speeds that could be considerably faster than 4G LTE. Most people know 5G, but few people know how rare full 5G technology truly is. There are three types of 5G that exist: low band, mid band, and high band 5G. The high band is cutting edge technology and what most people envision when thinking about the superior performance of 5G signal. In our work, high bandwidth allows us to transfer large data files such as CT and MRI scans directly to advanced wireless augmented reality headsets without any lag in performance. Applications such as Metavis Surgical AR, used for pre-surgical planning, and AnatomyX, that can be used to elevate the anatomy education experience, are just the tip of the iceberg of what 5G can offer. With that being said, I'd like to hand it off to Dr. Osborne, who can explain the benefits of these new technologies in more detail.
Thanks so much, David. David's doing amazing work. So many people are working on this project, and so many different people have come together to make it a reality. So our work that David mentioned was possible because of a large four-way creative between VA, Verizon, Microsoft, and Metavis. And because of this, VA Palo Alto became one of the first 5G hospitals in the world. As David mentioned, 5G provides the infrastructure that allows us to do some really amazing things. And our first efforts are in augmented reality and edge computing. But before we go too deep into the details, let's set the stage a bit. So augmented reality allows you to take digital images and you can see them over a real world environment. And that's actually not what we're doing now. We're doing actually something that is the next step. And we're doing what's called the lesser known mixed reality, where the real world and digital interact, and that's pretty cool stuff. So we use stuff like this, the HoloLens from Microsoft, and if we can take it to one of the slides, we are gonna check out some more stuff. So first slide, please. All right, I think the slide's up there. Okay, so top images you'll see. One of the software applications we've been collaborating on is this dynamic 3D hologram atlas of human anatomy. And as you can work with that, you can interact it, and it's really profound for teaching and training. Next slide. This is our support team. We're going to talk about that in a second. So the top images, we have these really amazing tools that you can use to interact with three-dimensional anatomy. And, even season attendings that have used this have had epiphanies about, things that they didn't otherwise realize about how things interact. And then we're going to look at the bottom left-hand image right now. So we can take actually the next step. We can take three-dimensional images of someone's own CT scan and create a hologram rendering out of it. And when you do that, you can investigate things in real time. And it's really powerful for all kinds of things like pre-surgical planning. One of our surgeons recently and her team was trying to deal with a really complicated case. And we went through and it made a dramatic impact on how she approached the care of that patient. So we're already having clinical impact. There's another thing coming up. We got a video. So some of this will come to life. And if you can pull up that video, we'll see some of that for everybody. Okay, so just press play, no volume, please. So here's a real live view of the three-dimensional atlas. As you can see, you can interact with it. It's very dynamic. It's super profound for teaching. Now we shift over here to taking, that's someone's own CT scan that was made into 3 dimensions. And here we're going through the actual images. You can transform that in many different ways, super powerful for pre-surgical planning. This is the in an OR setting. And then the next image you'll see coming up is how you can interact with it. This is the pre-surgical planning part. This part is super cool. Before, we're able to turn someone's 3-dimensional scan into a hologram. And now with a couple extra steps that we're optimizing right now, you can take that and superimpose it on someone's real body. So now for the first time ever, we actually have 3-dimensional X-ray vision. And this is profound. This is going to completely change the way we take care of patients, in particular for surgical guidance and pre-surgical planning. So that was quick. We got a lot to cover, but I think we're good for questions if you have any.
Thanks, Tom. I didn't want to cut you off. I was letting you go. I was gonna cut you off if you were this close.
Oh, you're so kind. Thank you.
I know, too kind. So, does anybody have any questions about this amazing work? I will. We'll go for one question, and if we don't have, let me just scroll here and see where we might be. I'll take a turn to answer or ask a question. What's the clinical response been, the clinician response been to actually getting there and using this tech?
That's a great question, Allison. So we did a demo early on in our experience, and we had a bunch of employees from across our healthcare system, try out the system. And one of the really interesting unintended consequences that we found from that survey when we did the analysis is not only were people excited about it, but people were more likely to state that they plan to stay at the VA than they did before they tried out the system. And so there's all kinds of implications, not only for clinical care, but for employee morale and retention.
That's very interesting. That's not what I expected you to say, and I think that that's fantastic, though. So I want to thank you both very much for your time and for all of your hard work and dedication.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Allison.
You're welcome. Thank you. Next up, Kevin Fogliano. We're going to switch coasts back to the Midwest here. The Clinical Surface Stimulation Cycling Program for veterans with paralysis. Hi, Kevin. We're ready when you are.
Okay. All right. Here we go. So, hello. My name is Kevin Fogliano, and I'm a biomedical engineer at the Cleveland VA Medical Center. So, as I'm sure many of you know, veterans have a disproportionate share of the spinal cord injury population. They also have a significant portion of patients with other forms of paralysis, including MS and stroke. And a major problem for individuals with these conditions is getting the appropriate amount of exercise. And this can lead to a variety of secondary health complications, which leads to an increased burden on them, their family, and the VA health system. However, it does not have to be this way. What if I told you that we have one veteran with paralysis experience a 7-pound weight loss, an 8-centimeter thigh circumference gain, improved endurance, and was able to ride a bike over ground outside. And in addition, he was able to take a service dog for a walk while he was riding, which I'm sure both he and his dog loved very much. To do this, we use electrical stimulation to stimulate the paralyzed muscles in the lower extremities to ride a recumbent trike, which gets the muscles moving, the blood flowing, the heart rate up, and increase their activity. An encoder measures the pedal positions, and that information controls the stimulation to contract the leg muscles to power the bike. They undergo training sessions up to 2 times per week for up to 18 weeks on a stationary trainer to build strength and endurance and progress to be able to ride over ground outside. This active training can provide great health benefits such as better muscle tone, better circulation, weight loss, greater sense of community, independence, and also just being able to do something that they have not been able to do in a long time. On the slide here, you can kind of see what we were able to do with the spread project. We built 3 different systems consisting of an adapted recumbent trike, a surface stimulation controller, and a tablet interface. And we were able to spread this out to 3 different sites, the Pittsburgh, the Rocky Mountain Regional, and the Bronx VA Medical Centers. There, we trained 10 individuals how to use the systems across these sites that included physical therapists, recreational therapists, and rehab engineers. 7 veterans across these sites were able to use them, including 2 who cycled outdoors, which you can see in this video. And we plan to continue to follow up and receive feedback on these systems and improve and monitor the improvements made by all these individuals and how the gains that these veterans make as they continue to progress. And each facility looks to make these a permanent part of the care at their site and hope to use it on as many veterans as possible, both now and in the future. Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much, Kevin. So let's see, there's a lot of chat here in the chat. And so while we wait for a question, I'm the lucky one that gets to ask all the questions right now. So what's next? So you were in a spread investment, which is kind of, you know, the end of iNet's role with supporting projects in some cases. And so what's next for you? Where you go? How do you move forward with this?
So yeah, so a big question that people kind of ask, you know, that some of the therapists and stuff kind of ask, like, so what if a veteran really likes this? Like, what if they want to take it home? And so that's kind of really the next thing. And so I think kind of what we want to do is both, you know, kind of make improvements to it, just kind of get the feedback. And then we really want to see is what kind of benefits are these veterans making? And then if we can say, you know, these veterans, they're making these gains, they're having these benefits, they're really getting this quality of life gains, and kind of show, hey, this is making a big impact across all these veterans. Maybe that's kind of a way that we can use to say, we got to find a way to get these to take them home. So really we're looking for this as a way to get access to more people, more veterans, and then kind of use that to, justify trying to get these to be able to take it home with, these veterans in the future.
I love that. Thanks so much, Kevin. Keep it up. And
Thank you.
Obviously, that we can do to support you, we are more than happy to always help.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Next demo, we are moving all over the country. We're going to go back out west to Deborah Anguish and Just Breathe and her amazing models. Deborah, how are you today? Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right. Big breath, and when you're ready, we will start the clock.
Okay. While the COVID-19 pandemic raged around the world in early 2020, as registered nurses, my co-inventor Stephanie Dawsey and I were assigned new duties in infection control and prevention. We quickly became subject matter experts on COVID personal protective equipment and trained our facility staff on how to keep our veterans and each other safe. Our mission was not only to keep them safe, but to help them feel safe, Disney safe in a pandemic. We identified best practices for the advanced respiratory protection that was N95s and elastomeric masks. Well, each of these had the benefit of protection from breathing in COVID. All were in short supply with high demand, which caused single-use products to be used multiple times. We thought there had to be a better way. We did a lot of research on what was out there and found a big gap between what was available and what was needed. So we devised a plan to make our own mask. We have support from the VHA Innovators Network and other VAs in getting our idea into physical space. We eventually collaborated with our local university to develop 3D printed prototypes. This was a daunting process, and less determined nurses would have been thwarted. There were many fits and starts concerning contracting and intellectual property protections, but with the help of our innovation specialist, Laura Henry, we persevered. We had 5 NIOSH heads printed to assess the mask fit for the most common face shapes. After many iterations, we have 4 prototypes that we have shown here. 1, 2, 3, and then 4, which are our latest innovation, but it's not yet functional. Our mask will have a universal fit, be reusable, looks kind of like a CPAP mask, and is soft silicone made, and has the protection of an N95, filtering both the inhaled and exhaled air that we breathe. Our mask has a human-centered design that is comfortable for long wear and is clear, with filters at the sides of the mouth so that those around us can see our faces, lip movements, and of course, our smiles. It has a notch to help hold eyeglasses and won't pull out hearing aids. Our next step is the development of a functional prototype. The biggest lesson that we learned was that the project of this type requires patience, a lot of patience. more than we anticipated. It took time to research and to connect to the right people. We plan to trial a functional prototype within 1 year. You can put my slide up. We want everyone to use our mask and not worry, just breathe.
Thanks, Deborah. Well, if this doesn't work out for you, your Vanna White skills are like on point. You can get a new career going there.
Okay.
That was beautiful. So I have a question about the iterations. So are these different iterations based on your design phases, or are they different masks altogether that you started with? What was that process like?
Different phases. So the first one that we started with had the space for the filters. It was nice and soft, but it wasn't big enough, so we made it a little bit bigger to be able to fit on. Once we got the heads printed, a little bit bigger, so they'll have the universal fit. And we were adding on the next one, but it'll fall over the head, but it has the padded to make it softer. So each one was the same 3D design, but then just made changes that we had asked to have made.
Great. And no, sorry, sorry for interrupting you. There is a question in here about the prototypes themselves. How did you make them? Are they 3D printed as well as the heads?
Yes, they're 3D printed as well. As we went further along, the next couple to get the right size that we wanted at the lab that we use, they are a lot harder material, but it was how, anyway, so yes, they're all 3D printed by our local university, so.
All right, thank you so much, Deborah. Keep it up, and I can't wait to see what's next.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Lisa Lombardo is next in the demo list for today. I'm going to talk about clinical stimulation-driven rowing program for veterans with paralysis. Lisa, when you're ready.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Lisa Lombardo. I'm a physical therapist at the VA Northeast Ohio Healthcare System. I've been working with individuals with paralysis for over 20 years. As a PT, one of my passions is exercise, both for myself and my patients. Can you imagine feeling like you're unable to get a good workout or only being able to exercise with just your arms? This is what our veterans with paralysis are faced with every day. There are more than 44,000 veterans living in the United States with spinal cord injuries. Lack of adequate exercise can lead to major health problems such as obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, decreased bone density, and depression. So we interviewed these individuals with spinal cord injury to see what was important to them in a good exercise. The key was that they wanted something that was simple to set up and that would allow them to exercise independently. So our solution is what we call a smart rowing machine. We used a commercially available adapted rowing machine and added electrical stimulation to allow these individuals to exercise both their arms and legs and increase the intensity of their exercise. We developed a clinician-friendly application for the adapted rowing machine that will automatically coordinate contractions of the paralyzed legs with electrical stimulation in combination with arm movements. The app is controlled with a tablet or a smartphone to allow ease of use for clinicians and veterans. The stimulation parameters are easily adjusted to produce the proper stimulation of those legs. Our solution is unique because it allows these individuals to exercise their whole body, their arms, their legs, and their trunk. If you've ever used a rowing machine, you know what a great full body workout this can be. One veteran said, this is the first time since her injury that she felt like she got a really good workout. Her heart rate increased and her body felt tired in a good way. She said mentally, it felt so good. You can play the video, please. In 2022, the goal is to further develop the seating system for more trunk support to allow individuals with decreased trunk stability to also row. We're partnering with the Minneapolis VA to further develop the rowing machine and spread this technology to allow more veterans to benefit from this effective new exercise modality. I want to thank the VHA Innovators Network for your support. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Lisa. So let's see here. There's more happening in the chat. Question about, well, was the veteran in the demo the one that actually made the comment about the exercise? That's awesome. And what's next? Do you get more patients in it? Do you expand it into an actual, a clinical research trial? What's next?
So the first step is we received a spread award for 2022, and we're going to be spreading this technology to the Minneapolis VA, and we're going to work on the seating system because it does need a little bit of work to help those individuals with higher level injuries to be able to benefit from this exercise as well. So that would be the first step. And then we're hoping to develop it into a clinical program that would be used at multiple VAs across the country.
Yeah, there is a question in the chat here, and I thought that you might have been referring to this when you were talking about Minneapolis, but are you spreading to Minneapolis clinically? Are you working with the MAID Center in Minneapolis, or just the clinical staff?
Both. We're going to be working with both.
Great.
And we're bringing a rowing machine to them as part of the project.
Great. All right. Thanks so much, Lisa. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see what's next.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Next up, our first Breaking Boundaries collaboration challenge event winner demo, Jay Singh, Able Innovations. Are you ready, Jay?
I'm all ready. Thank you so much.
Okay, go for it.
Good to go. Hello and welcome. My name is Jay, and I'm the CEO of Able Innovations, a Breaking Boundaries Collaboration Challenge winner. My story began when I was quite young, and I started to volunteer at long-term care facilities where my mom used to work. And while there, I witnessed her perform the back-breaking task of transfers and injure herself. She dislocated her shoulder when moving a resident between a bed and a wheelchair. That started her down a path of chronic repetitive injuries that also contributed to her burnout. It continues today. Transfers refer to the daily routine task of lifting and moving individuals between surfaces, be it beds, wheelchairs, or stretchers. Specifically today, I'm going to talk about the task of lateral transfers, which is moving individuals from a lying down position to a lying down position. These occur hundreds of times every single day in a typical hospital, with each requiring back-breaking effort. This physical strain is a major contributing factor as to why 60% of staff battle strain-related chronic injuries, 20% of whom require dedicated time off. This also contributes to the sky-high rates of burnout and burden that we're witnessing in healthcare today. At Able Innovations, we're solving this problem head-on with the revolutionary Alta platform. Our technology works by allowing a single caregiver to conduct these same transfers in a completely effortless manner, protecting them from career-ending injuries. Our technology works by means of an extending platform that safely rolls underneath an individual without disturbing their skin, and then shuttles them right onto the device. The patient can then either be transferred right off onto an adjacent stretcher or transported to another ward and then transferred off. We've thoroughly studied the safety of our core technology, and now we wish to refine the user interfaces before we commercialize it. There are various configurations our technology can be utilized in, and it is especially important that the device is designed for the specific needs of the end user. We can stop the video there. We have partnered with 7 VHA Innovator Network sites to collaborate and obtain feedback that we will incorporate right into the product. We will collaborate to analyze all interfaces that the nurses will need to touch, ranging from our control panel to our handles to our wheels. Nothing's off the table. We will then generate customized designs based on the feedback, ensuring that the needs of the nurses are met and exceeded. We will then provide test units with the updated interfaces, leading to delivering complete Alta units with the upgrades included. With this collaboration, we'll be able to optimize this promising and timely technology to achieve the highest level of facility efficiency, worker satisfaction, ease of operability, safety at a time where staff are battling burnout, and most importantly, dignity to our staff, patients, and veterans alike. If you're interested in learning more, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jay. I'm so excited to have this experience, this collaboration, and it was extremely popular during the iEX pre-event with Founder Institute, the Breaking Boundaries Collaboration Challenge. 7 sites is a lot of sites to collaborate with within the Innovators Network. So question about how it was kind of designed. How long has this journey been for you?
Yeah, I mean, I knew I wanted to do this from 2010, actually, but I knew that I needed the tools because the vision we have is like, think about a veteran who wants to stay at home. They need to be taken in and out of bed. That's the vision that we're about. It's a very complex technological journey, however, and me having a background in robotics, learned and appreciated that. So I worked for 8 years. I earned my stripes, if you may call it that. And then when I realized I knew enough about the technology and business to do it on my own, then I started working with hospitals. I said, this is my big dream, but let's break it into bite-sized pieces. And the first one was lying down to lying down. If I can get that safely, then I know I can move it up to the next level, which is turning individuals. Then it's transferring them between bed to wheelchair. And then hopefully being the technology that allows people to stay at home longer, because a lot of times people have to leave their homes, their loved ones, because they simply can't be taken in and out of bed.
I know that the sites participating in this collaboration and the veteran experience that they're going to have and being part of the collaboration, the clinicians, everyone is going to have so much fun. All of this is really, really fun, which I'm not sure is translated well on camera or through this experience, but this whole experience is so fun. So thank you so much. I am so excited to see what's next.
Likewise, thanks a lot for all your support, Allison.
No, thank you. Okay, Jared Reusable, you are up, my friend. The completion and pilot implementation of virtual reality treatment for substance use disorders, adapting transcending self-therapy to telehealth. That is the longest title, Jared, you win. Okay.
I know it's definitely not a short one. So,
3 minutes starts now whenever you're ready, my friend.
So as Allison said, I'm Jared Reusable. I'm a clinical psychologist and an investee in the VHA Innovation Network Spark Seed Spread Investment Program. I co-created Transcending Self Therapy, or TST. Transcending Self Therapy was developed through the network and is now being used worldwide and is massively successful. It has helped the VA begin to address the drug epidemic, and peer-reviewed journals have reported that TST is over twice as effective in reducing substance abuse, reducing depression, and decreasing a need for a higher level of care. So TST was running great and spreading at an exponential level. And then 2020 came and brought a major problem to the substance abuse community. The world went to telehealth, and substance abuse, suicides, and overdoses have spiked. Veterans like telehealth, and it's definitely here to stay after the pandemic has passed. Unfortunately, the telehealth is not good enough, and veterans aren't doing their telehealth homework. That's a problem because homework is one of the best predictors of treatment success. Homework increases treatment success because it turns that 1 hour session into 10 to 20 hours of therapeutic benefit between sessions. It's just like if you went to a coach and didn't practice. You wouldn't get any better. Same with therapy. The solution. Using human-centered design, we surveyed providers and patients to create a novel virtual reality homework platform called The Retreat, which is regularly being used or will be used with veterans, has been demoed with over 30 VA staff. We had qualitative and quantitative feedback, and all the rankings were a 4.7 to 5 out of 5. The version of VR that we developed will initially be the homework for weekly 1 hour TST. It is a platform that allows the veteran to get on a virtual boat and go to a virtual retreat or cabin in the woods. The cabin surroundings are beautifully detailed and give the patient the experience of actually being in a peaceful place where they can heal and learn tools to feel better without doing drugs. There are experiences in these virtual reality headsets that include deep breathing at the beach, conversations with a CBT psychologist, or a hot air balloon ride over the wilderness. All these experiences have therapeutic lessons and benefits, and veterans can stay for minutes to hours between sessions. This is especially important for veterans in residential programs, as they are frequently not allowed to leave the residential building due to COVID restrictions and are without many options. We plan to expand the use of the headsets to outpatient care in the near future, so veterans who are isolated will have more therapeutic options. I'm hoping to spread this virtual reality program to other hospitals and refine it along the way. My team and I are working towards ensuring that the VA pushes the boundaries of virtual care for substance abuse. Telehealth is here to stay long after the pandemic. and the TST virtual program we developed is the best response to the problem of insufficient virtual care. I believe that the virtual reality program could be one of the biggest advancements in mental health in the last 70 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. And I have been fortunate enough to see and actually have a look at this in its virtual state, and it is very beautiful, and I can't wait for others to see it as well. Just checking the chat here. So what was the experience like translating it from paper? I've seen your beautiful books binders for the in-person sessions. What was it like translating it into this new virtual reality format?
It was fun and different because it's somewhat of a paradigm shift in treatment where for years, for 75 years, patients would have paper and pencil, homework to do between sessions. And then all of a sudden, you have all these different options. It's like going from seeing the world in black and white, and then suddenly you get a set of colored pencils and you get to color it all in. Or so it made it. It was fun, and it was also kind of just a very new type of experience.
And one more quick question from the chat. What VR headsets did you use?
We were going to use Oculus, but we ended up going with Pico because we wanted to use headsets that did not require internet access or Facebook access.
Yeah, I think that's that was it's part of the discussion in the VR community is that the possibilities are really endless for what the future looks like in this space, and the way that you've pivoted this in-person therapy to this new extraordinarily beautiful method is the future. The future is here, as they say. So, thank you, Jared. Have a great rest of your day. And
thank you.
Next up, you are so welcome, sir. Next up is Zachary Vegels, and back for round two, Dr. Tom Osborne talking about COVID analytics. Tom, I will cut you off this time. Don't make me do it. I will. I will do it. All right, guys, hit it when you're ready.
All right. I'm sure you will. Thanks, Allison. So a little bit of our program here, NCCHI. We've got a small but powerful team and tremendous support from our director, Lisa Howard, and Michael Kozel. Of course, Dr. Clancy, Dr. Vega, Kit Tig. So just want to shout out to those people who are helping all of us, and it's fantastic. So NCCHI, we're all about doing things that everyone else is interested in this call. I mean, our goal is to provide the best, most advanced healthcare possible to our veterans. And data is one of the important, powerful tools we have to do that. Zach and Paula on our team do amazing work, and Zach's going to take over, and then we'll bounce back and forth. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. So as the COVID pandemic quickly devastated the healthcare system across the world, we saw a great opportunity to assist, which we made our top priority. We felt we were uniquely positioned to make an immediate impact for three reasons. We have vast knowledge and experience with healthcare's richest data set, which is the VA's corporate data warehouse. We have clinical and technical subject matter experts with vast experience in turning healthcare data into valuable insights. And we follow an agile project methodology that allows us to act quickly and efficiently to develop healthcare innovation.
All right, that's me, I think. So big picture here, one of the big challenges that we had at the beginning of the pandemic that particularly emergency room physicians faced was that it was very difficult to accurately determine which COVID patients needed really intense care, utilizing one of the few hospital beds that might be available at that time, and which patients could go home. And that was a challenge for everybody. And so what we did, fortunately, we were already doing a lot of work in predictive analytics. In particular, that means using past data to predict the future. And utilizing that model and method, we're able to help people trying to figure out how to best position patients so they can get the best care possible. And we did that and a couple other things. Go ahead, Zach, you take over.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, so we identified two areas that we felt our expertise could be the most impactful. So by using the VA's electronic healthcare record data, we thought we could create an accurate and automated COVID risk model that looked at outcomes for VA patients. And if it was possible, along the way, we were hoping to identify modifiable factors that could be changed to lower a veteran's risk of a poor outcome due to COVID-19. So we selected over 70 variables, including patient demographics, chronic disease diagnoses, lab results, active medications, and others. And the result was a predictive model that was highly accurate at identifying patients who were high risk for severe infection and mortality. Along the way, we made an important and novel discovery that veterans who were taking daily aspirin at the time they contracted COVID were less than half as likely to die.
I can see Tom smiling because he knows that I'm going to cut you off. And he's like, I know she's going to do it. And Zach, you know me too. You know I'm going to do it. Okay, so I will let you take up, because I am kind and generous, I will let you take up part of your 2 minutes here, wait for questions, and finish what you were going to say.
Thanks, Allison. Sorry about that. So we discovered along the way that patients that were taking aspirin, a daily aspirin at the time that they contracted COVID, were less than half as likely to die than patients of similar age and health status who were not taking aspirin. And Tom, I'll kick it back to you to close it out.
All right, cool. If you want to pull up that slide, I think that slide is kind of interesting, if available. You know, we really hustled. You know, we were well positioned, we hustled, we have great people, and we were able to publish quite a few peer-reviewed journal articles in a short amount of time. Articles that were translational, that directly impacted patient care. In particular, I think the one that helped us triage patients well, and the one about aspirin, which has taken up and been very powerful in some ways. It's been, you know, publicized across the country. A lot of different news outlets. It's been, you know, referenced about 30 times by other publications that have followed us. And it's just sort of emphasizing the treasure trove of resources that we have here at VA and how we can lead and help others be successful as well.
Gentlemen, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions for Tom and Zach, please reach out to them directly in Socio. And we'll move on. Thank you so much, you two. So if you're like me and you're feeling like you need to get up and move around a little bit or take a breath or something, just take a breath here, stretch out, get ready for Lisa, Lucas, and Andrew Fontenot talking about the anesthesia go bag. There it is. Folks, when you are ready, you can get started.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Lisa Lucas. This is Drew Fontenot. We are certified registered nurse anesthesiologists, also called CRNAs at the Memphis VA. In 2018, 2 veterans died in this medical center as a result of failed airway, and we knew something had to change. Our solution was 3-pronged. First, we put a CRNA in-house 24/7 to always have an airway expert available. Second, we trained the respiratory therapist and critical care fellows to improve their skill level to offer backup as needed. And third, to find a way to have all needed supplies literally at the CRNA's fingertips. The CRNAs quickly realized to meet this goal, they needed to be mobile and prepared to provide airway interventions in all areas of the Memphis VA Medical Center. Relying on other departments to have the supplies we needed would not meet the standard of a high reliability organization. What we came up with was the red backpack, which our medical center director, Mr. David Dunning, named the CRNA Go Bag, since it reminded him of his Go Bag from his old Army days. This is our bag. We chose red to denote emergency and the bag style based on its size and ability to hold up to 40 pounds of equipment while remaining ergonomic. This compact airway bag holds many items, from a drug box and then everything from a binasal cannula to a cricothyroid otomy kit that we would use for a surgical airway. It allows us to move quickly with all equipment. The airway CRNA carries this bag 24 hours a day. They wear it in rounds and even to the cafeteria. The reasonable price of under $5,000 allows us to keep an identical bag in the operating room so a second CRNA can be deployed if simultaneous emergencies arise. When responding to emergencies, CRNAs also educate and coach non-anesthesia providers who are training to intubate via the out-of-hour airway management program. This hands-on training will greatly increase safety when these URAM participants become responsible for rescuing veterans. To date, this bag has been on over 800 airway calls with a success rate of 100%. In addition to improving safety here for the Memphis veterans, our bag has already spread to Buffalo and Minneapolis VAs. They have received their equipment or are in the data collection phase of this implementation. So with our bag, you might ask, what's next for us? Our next step is to finish data collection from our spread sites. We fully expect the data to coincide with our data, providing that the bag design leads to not only quick and efficient airway management, but also to decrease morbidity and mortality among the veteran population. We will then continue to spread our design to other VA sites. If funds are appropriated, we will plan to put our bag on display at the Association of VA Nurse Anesthetists Havana National Meeting in May. Thank you all for your time and support, and for the VHA Innovators Network for supporting us.
You're more than welcome. Thank you both very, very much. I have a kind of funny question, but how much does it weigh? How much does the bag weigh?
About 38 pounds.
Ooh. So it's like carrying around my small child.
It is.
But hey, it's got a lot in it. I'm surprised that it doesn't actually weigh more. And so you mentioned a little bit about what's next, which is great. What do you think was the hardest part, and what will potentially be the hardest part of getting this out, spreading it further, having it in more sites, using it every day?
I think for us, everybody that we've talked to is interested. There's clinical buy-in. I think it comes down to how the group itself is going to handle the red bag. Who's going to carry it, how the handoff's going to be. Everyone agrees the bag works, everything's there, it's tried and true. It's developing the group strategy at the different VAs based on how they work for a handoff and to see how it can best fit their needs.
Yeah, I can see how that's different at every site, and everybody's going to do it their own way, but I'm sure that you have some great suggestions and guidance for them in developing that plan. So thank you both so much for everything, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, our second Breaking Boundaries Collaboration Challenge winner in this demo session, Polly Pachota with Cibus Health. So nice to see you. When you are ready, we are ready to hear from you.
Nice to see you as well, Allison. Thank you for giving me a platform to talk about food, my very favorite topic. Slides, please. So poor nutrition is leading more and more people into the hospital. And once they get to the hospital, they have a really high likelihood of continuing on this revolving door of in and outs, getting sicker and sicker. Again, my name is Polly Pachota, and I watched this very cycle happen to my dad, who died from uncontrolled type 2 diabetes. And every time he left the hospital, he was given discharge instructions to avoid eating bad foods. He got advice that was pretty much left on his own with very little nutrition support. There are over 120 million adult Americans today with cardiometabolic diseases, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, diseases primarily driven by nutrition and lifestyle, and also the leading cause of hospitalizations in the VHA. Even more alarming is that veterans are nearly 1.5 times more likely to be at risk for cardiometabolic onset and twice as likely to face food insecurity versus the general population. Our veterans are the most in need. We started Cibus Health to address this gap in nutritional support. We wanted to arm clinicians in supporting patients like my dad, and thought, what if a doctor can prescribe food just like a medication? Our solution is designed to do just that. It's a personalized nutrition platform where a doctor can go in and prescribe not just the healthy foods, but all the support that comes with it. The nutritionist, the health coach, a complete community for food, stress, sleep, and emotional support to help that patient recover after a procedure or manage their conditions, and also equip them for that long-term healthy lifestyle change. Our technology interfaces between the care team and the patient. And when a doctor prescribes Cibus Health, they are bringing that care directly into that patient's home, directly into that patient's kitchen, and expanding access and support. Using a proprietary algorithm, we can design personalized nutrition that works just for that patient, promoting their adherence and compliance, in addition to tracking and monitoring nutrition data that so that clinicians can see what these patients are eating and their health progress. We're incredibly excited to be selected as the VHA INET Breaking Boundaries winner, which is really providing us a tremendous opportunity to expand our customer discovery and platform design work alongside VHA clinicians and innovators. Our collaboration will span across 6 VA sites led by Kim Bielecki at VA Orlando and include VA Hunter Holmes McGuire, Central Arkansas, Palo Alto, Sierra Nevada, and Cincinnati. Using VHA expertise in human-centric design, this group is bringing deep clinical expertise into this solution. And we believe that this is a clinical product, and having VA clinicians at the forefront, collaborating and designing alongside us is really a dream come true, allowing us to further accelerate our design and product development efforts. This collaboration with the VHA iEX team is taking us one step closer to being able to offer a solution for veterans that really need nutrition support. And we're just thrilled to get started and get to work. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Polly. I'm excited to get started as well. I was actually talking about this yesterday, this collaboration with a colleague of mine. So very excited to get started. So the reason that you wanted to do this and the reason that you started this company, can you go into any more detail about your dad or the history and just kind of the passion that drove you and why that's so critical to innovating?
Yeah, so I, as a young child, from my early childhood into my early 20s, I watched my dad have a debilitating disease that was really preventable and even reversible. So I watched him come in and out of the hospital to the Jocelyn's Diabetes Center. He even had a foot amputation and was eventually in a wheelchair. And it was horrific. And I think having watched my dad go through that and knowing that it was preventable was just, I just couldn't bear to just sit and do nothing. And I had spent 27 years in military healthcare myself, and I'm a veteran myself. So sitting here and as a nutritionist, believing in the power of food as medicine, I just couldn't sit back and actually try not to do something. And I know that from my dad's perspective, he was a really vulnerable patient. And I felt like if we can give him much added nutrition support at that early stage, where would he be here today? And that's really the motivation behind the CBIS Health.
Thanks so much, Polly, and thank you for your service as well. And we'll start soon. Let's get on it. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Next up, Charles Franklin is going to talk to us about the Homeless Rideshare Program. Charles, 2020 Innovators Network Tanked Awardee. Are you ready?
Thank you, Allison. I'm Charles Franklin, Project Manager with the Vision One New England Center of Innovation Excellence. And today I'm going to be discussing the Rideshare project with the VHA Homeless Program. So the project originally started in 2019, and as a seed, it was specifically an employment project. But through the success of that, all the other VHA homeless programs kept continuing saying, transportation is a huge obstacle for us, a huge obstacle for us. So following that, in the 2020, we were able to expand to the spread. We did 13 sites across the country, primarily in Vision 1 and 21, and in St. Louis and Grand Junction, Colorado. Through the success of this project, our pivot during the COVID and continuing to provide reliable transportation for our veterans that are most vulnerable, we were able to write a project proposal in collaboration with the HPO, get it to Congress and get that expanded authority so that the HPO office could pay for this. So with that expanded authority, what we've been able to do is working through the National Homeless Coordinators. Now we have all 18 VISNs on board. We have 130 sites across the country that's opted in. Sites are still continuing to come in weekly. Through the project since the national launch on August 3rd, we've been able to provide transportation resources for hurricane evacuation, immediate fire hazard evacuations out in the western states. We provided transportation for homeless program veterans to over 3,000 medical appointments. And we've been able to remove 130 veterans off the streets and send them straight to a safe location, ensuring that they had a bed that night. Our next step is hopefully we can go get that permanent expanded approval and make the program a part of the staple. But regardless the outcome there, the homeless program office, you should be very proud of your staff across this country. This rideshare team is now thousands of employees strong, and I'm grateful for each and every one of them, their passion for the job they do, and you should be very proud. And also want to send a huge thank you to Alta Architecture Solutions, the contractor on this, and they really are the key to what makes rideshare work. If you've utilized rideshare, you know about the frequent ride cancellations or say drivers not being able to be there on the platform. Their customer service line being able to leverage all platforms together means safe, reliable transportation. If a veteran has an issue with a ride, they're able to immediately call, get that assistance, and Architecture Solutions customer service is going above and beyond because the veteran experience matters, veteran safety matters, and that's how we are showing I care with rideshare.
Thanks, Charles. We have a question in the chat for you. How will you, or you can say how are you, because I know you are, expanding this program to other areas?
Okay, so one we're currently working on is we've combined rideshare project with VetText. We'll be rolling it out over the next 2 weeks. We already have 5 sites operational. We'll have 12 sites up and running where we're essentially, the aim is to automate the COVID booster process. So they can call, all appointments can get scheduled utilizing the VetText features. And then there will be a link provided on all those appointment reminders, and we'll be offering transportation to all veterans upon to come in, get their COVID boosters or original vaccinations. And then we also have some other pilots. I know Kim Bilecki's leading an exciting one down in Florida, getting a lot of positive feedback from there. But I'll let Kim discuss that project. She's doing a phenomenal job, but it's due with the emergency department discharges.
She is doing a phenomenal job, isn't she? So you're also getting some big time shout out from your national center teammates here in the chat, and yes, a lot of chat in here about your great heart and passion for this work. And if you haven't noticed throughout all of these, it's a huge theme, and it is the reason that this is all possible. The secretary mentioned it, that the passion, drive, and determination of employee innovators is unparalleled to anything that I've ever experienced. And I'm so proud of your success, Charles. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, Allison.
Okay, next up, Cindy Peters and Chris Earls are going to talk about the White Noise Project. There they are. Whenever you two are ready, go ahead and get started.
All righty. Hello, everyone. My name is Cindy Peters, and I'm a nurse at the Charles George VA Medical Center here in Asheville, North Carolina. And we're going to talk about a white noise machine. Imagine you are in a new environment.
I'm going to write that down.
Where machines are beeping and you are away from the familiar sounds of home. And every 15 minutes, someone is making noise by opening and closing doors, keeping you awake and adding to your anxiety of even being in the hospital. So we aim to solve the problem of interrupting sleep during a time when veterans need it the most. We discovered a solution that benefits a wide variety of veterans regardless of their reason for admission. It's safe enough to use on any ward, non-pharmacological, and inexpensive, and welcomed by our veterans. One veteran even shared with us it brought back the memory of being at his grandmother's house, hearing the old furnace run, a place where he was always safe. It brought back an incredible memory. Our innovation solution was this white noise machine. And here's a picture of it. And I'm going to hand the hand it over to my friend and coworker, Chris Earls.
Howdy. So our project has been going on for a year now. We have created some incredible data that we've compiled from this project. So we have on average compared the actual sleep hours of veterans using the machine versus veterans who are not using the machine in the same area experiencing similar issues. And we have found an increase of 22% on average. It's almost 2 hours a night that they are gaining in sleep just using this white noise machine. We also have 97% patient satisfaction ratings on this from polls and that kind of thing. We have spread completely to our hospital, and we are spreading to other VAs. And I want to mention that this is super long lasting. It's non-pharmacological. It's super financially fiscal. It's somewhere around $35 a unit, $1,400 supplied our entire hospital for the next 10 years to come. So it's a super simple machine that has actually made a huge impact in sleep differences without the use of medications or anything like that. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you both very, very much. And while we are, here's a question. See what they're coming in. So was your sleep clinic involved? And are you, two questions in one. And are you using it for an outpatient sleep clinic?
So we have only been in the inpatient side of things so far. So we haven't involved the sleep clinic necessarily, but we would be open to that. But we were more focused on the inpatient side because there's a lot of machines that go off and beep. There's a lot of doors that open, especially like we work on the mental health floor. So there's safety checks that go on every 15 minutes, 24/7. So we were more focused on the aspect of like drowning out noise and outside interference from sleep, but we've found that veterans are even calling the hospital asking where they could buy these for home. So I think we'd be looking in the future towards like more outpatient centered things too.
Great. Thank you both so much. It's lovely to see you as always.
Thank you.
That is it for day one in this breakout room for demos. Join me again tomorrow for another round of amazing demos from employee innovators from the national centers and from the Breaking Boundaries Collaboration Challenge. The next event, Shark Tank, actually we're going to hit to Eric first, but is at 3:15, so you have 7 minutes. Back in this main room, so go out, stretch, get a drink of water, pet your dog, do whatever you need to do, and be back here at 3:15. Thank you all so much.